Hey there guys, Alex Invests here and welcome back. Today the markets are red, but stocks that are very green again today, and they have been for the past week, are those clean, renewable, alternative energy solutions companies, right? We have all the hydrogen industry stocks, or most of them, being positive today, and solar company stocks again also being positive. OEG is one that I talked about just the other week, and since then we have had a huge rally in that stock as well. So I'll probably do a video on that on Wednesday, but today we are sticking in that sector and reviewing a stock in the renewable energy sector, but it's a little bit different. It works with wave power, and the stock is Ocean Power Technologies, and the ticker symbol for that is OPTT. And essentially what they do is they provide deployables for the ocean, which then generate power through waves. But that's not all. They also have technology to go along with this, including hardware and software. And this is good for science and research, but also the oil and gas industry, you know, those offshore oil and gas plants, etc. Right? So we're going to get into that. We're going to look at some of the catalysts I see moving forward here. We're also going to look at some of the risks, and then finally, we're going to look at the stock chart as well, and we'll see in the stock chart why I think this stock is going to grow here quite a lot in the next little bit, and we're going to compare it to fuel cell energy as well. So before we get into some of the things that OPTT actually does, we just want to look at some of the main catalysts here, some of the obvious catalysts, right? And the first one is obviously that this green energy sector is just absolutely exploding lately, right? And OPTT is one of those that's still hovering at a low price here, and we actually came down today, although all other sort of alternative clean energy has been rising, right? And so that makes me think that this technology specifically is, first of all, undervalued, but secondly, it's not very well known yet to the public, you know, and once it becomes more known, I think we will see a lot of growth in this company, especially with Biden taking office soon on January 20th, right? He's doing a lot for climate change and for this green energy technology and for this green energy sector. And I've talked about some of the things Biden's doing in a previous video, but let's go over some of the main ones here. Biden wants to put us on an irreversible path to net zero emissions by 2050, right? And that's America wide. He also wants to make an investment of $400 billion in the next 10 years for this green energy technology, right? Those things, and there's plenty of others. You can go check out his website. But I did just want to mention this because it's an obvious catalyst that will be pushing this clean tech energy forward here, you know, a lot in the next couple of years. And that's why I'm so bullish on these stocks too. All right, so let's get into some of their products here, right? And the first one is their hybrid power buoy right here, and this one's easily deployable and produces reliable offshore power, but also there's a communications aspect to this, and which I think is very interesting. I've highlighted a few points here. First of all, a low to zero carbon power solution, and that's simply because they do have an engine just in case for backup power, but they also have those solar panels on the roof of this one. But what's really interesting for me about this one is their communications technology, which can be added to these power buoys. You know, you can essentially add a mast, and this is the second point I highlighted here, which has capabilities for cameras, radar, Wi-Fi, 5G, 4G, satellite, right? All these things which are great for obviously science and research, but also really good for government surveillance and things like that. And then of course, obviously that offshore power aspect is a big one in this one as well. So this one's good, but there's some better products they have here as well. And my favorite one is this right here, the BP3 power buoy. And what's so cool about this is it acts as an uninterruptible power supply, and it constantly recharges itself by using waves, because the top piece there essentially moves up and down, and with that it creates energy which then can be used in different applications. The power generated from this is not an enormous amount of power, right? So you can't think, oh, let's just set up 300 of these and we can power everything. No, but what this technology is good for is, again, they have the similar thing with the power buoys as well, where they can have radar, other communications technology, Wi-Fi, 5G, satellite, all of that, right? But it also does that without needing any other power, similar to the first one, but this one is with wave power, which is much more interesting, first of all. But Also very good for surveillance of the area because you can take those underwater drones and connect this to it as well. But unfortunately, they don't produce enough energy as of yet to use them to hook up to compressors or for pumps, etc., right? But you can, again, use them sort of lower energy cost required technology. And this is great, again, for the things I've mentioned before, but also for the oil and gas industry, the offshore oil and gas industry specifically here, because current technology uses diesel generators in order to produce power to power a lot of their technology. With this technology, a lot of it will be moved to these power buoys and offer more cost-effective solutions. And also, it's in that clean energy space, right? Diesel is obviously not great for the environment, but these wave-powered power buoys are. And as we move to this clean energy technology world, I think there's going to be a part of it which involves these. Now, obviously, the problem with this is, again, eventually we're going to fully move away from oil and gas, right? So there might be an end to this technology as we move forward. But that being said, an end to oil and gas plants which are offshore, it doesn't necessarily mean that this technology won't be able to be used in other applications. It's currently being used in other applications. And although this right now will make up a smaller sector of their total deployables here, eventually we could see this technology being used for much, much more than that. And here's another interesting catalyst in my opinion, because this actually just came out on December 7th. And what it's saying, this article, is that the OPT power buoy can now be remotely managed, which means that OPT doesn't need to hire their specialists in the field, send them over to wherever they're doing this and deploying the power buoy and helping with that process. It can now be done remotely without the help of anyone really, except for local contractors and sort of these existing marine operations. Again, this reduces costs, increases flexibility as well, right, for the customers. And I don't think people saw how big this information actually was from them. They're essentially saying that they can just ship out the power buoy, sell that, and then not need any of this services really, other than, the help remotely, of course, but they don't need the services of their technicians and their engineers actually being there to help this process. And that means that they can scale so much more with this technology. All right, so let's get into some of the risks here quickly. First of all, obviously a small cap stock here, right? Could be huge swings on the upside, but also could be huge swings on the downside just as easily. So always keep that in mind, especially when you're investing in these small cap growth stocks. We never really do know what's going to happen, but I think it is likely we will see growth in this one. Another one is there could be actually a pullback in sort of this green tech industry as a whole here, just because we have seen so much of a run up in the past few weeks. So do watch out for that. But of course, with the things Biden is going to be doing here, and with them starting really very soon here, I think it's unlikely we're going to see a very big pullback in the green tech space right now. Maybe down the road we may, depending on sort of the things that Biden actually gets done here and some of the other things happening around the world. And now again, the final risk, and I've mentioned this basically throughout what I was talking about earlier, and their power buoys, right? But again, the oil and gas industry here is one that is slowly becoming obsolete here. And we have to keep that in mind when we're investing in this stock, because yes, they have other applications here with their technology, but a big one for that power buoy specifically would have been, or is going to be, those offshore oil and gas plants for that surveillance and for that power generation. And so that may hurt us with this stock in the future. But again, before then, I do see them implementing this technology. All right, so now I just wanted to compare with you guys in the chart Ocean Power Technologies with fuel cell energy, right? And this is actually something my brother pointed out to me, which I think is very interesting here. And that is, if we look at sort of where both of these stocks were before, back in 2019, we came down in both of these heavily, right, to, around less than $1 here for both of these, 0.3 here and 0.1 even down here, right? And you know, we saw after those, they came back up again in both here, right? Here we come back up, and then since sort of end of October here, we just rocket up. But what's so interesting to note is how similar these charts are when we get up to back past sort of the $1 mark even here, right? We see right here this little up and then back down. We saw that right here, right? And then again, we rocket up here, and same thing happens here, right? And we come back down again. We come back up. We do a little one of these, and now maybe what'll happen is we come back down a bit again, right? And then that'll even show me even more how similar these two charts are. We can see the volume as well here really starts right when we get back up to around that $1 mark, and similar to what happened right here, you know, we get to the $1 mark and we come up, and this stock was even lower, so really it is a little bit below the $1 mark right here. You know, we see this huge volume start to come out, and then again volume slows down, we have consolidation, and then ever since then we just see huge volume, huge spike in this stock, right? And we see the same thing with OPTT over here, right? This point could be around where this point is right here, right? So maybe we see a little bit more consolidation first here, but it's also interesting to note how similar these two patterns right here and right here are. So it wouldn't even surprise me if soon we just see the same thing we saw in FCEL here, where we just see a huge run up here, right, in this stock. So, you know, how similar, you know, we came down and then we come back up, we came down and we had consolidation, we came back up. And I think we're going to see that exact same thing in Ocean Power Technologies here. You know, with that green energy tech space here, sure, they're in completely different industries here, but still, just with these similarities, again, I think we could see a big run up here moving forward. Not saying we will see a big run up, I'm saying we could, and I think it might be more likely than not that we will see some sort of a run up here from this stock soon, and that's why I have invested in it. I will be holding my shares similar to what I did in FCEL. You know, I bought FCEL at the $1.8 mark at first, so right around down here, right? And I held this whole consolidation period, and I'm guessing I'm going to be doing the same thing with Ocean Power Technologies. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for the video today. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment as always. And other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.